Good morning and welcome to week 6 of Fantasy Football Live. I'm Amanda Borges, and joining me here in our Sunnyvale studio, we have Brad Evans, Tank Williams, and Mr. Andy Behrens. Good morning, everyone.
Howdy. Good
Hello.
How goes it?
I had my bacon, my eggs, my bangers, my mash. And more Curtis Samuel, please, because Daddy's got bills to pay, and I may have a little action on him on a prop bet.
I'm maybe not getting everything I wanted out of Jameis Winston to this point.
How about the face fumble?
That was fun.
It was innovative.
That was fun. All right, well, we will get to more of that in a second. But first, down in LA, we have Matt Harmon and Liz Loza handling our social channels for us this morning. Now, I know there's a lot going on this week, so how are we this morning? What's trending?
I mean, anytime I can watch Christian McCaffrey score a couple of touchdowns while drinking my coffee and my green juice in the morning, you know that is an explosive way to start the day.
No pun intended there, Harmon.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, thank you for that, Matt.
It's great here.
Last but certainly not least, we have our resident DJ Bebop Rocksteady, who is spinning his original beats throughout the intro.
You already know that we out here, and it is Bebop Rocksteady. Thank you.
Love it. All right. It's time for a quick check of who's in and who's out as the inactive list for the early games begin to come in. The biggest one today, I think, is Tyreek Hill. He'll play for the first time since week 1 as the Chiefs wideout returns from a clavicle injury. Saints running back Alvin Kamara is active despite tweaking his ankle last week. And in the late afternoon games, George Kittle is listed as questionable. He says he'll play, but Adam Schefter reports there is concern that the Niners tight end may not finish the game. On the other sideline in LA, in case you missed it, Todd Gurley is out with a quad injury. Malcolm Brown is expected to get the workload for the Rams. Also, guys, Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood!
That's a new one that just
Up to no good? Because he's out.
Yeah.
Did you go over across the bay and, kind of help out George Kittle with his injury?
George does not need my assistance.
Are you sure?
George finishes what he starts.
I thought Iowa guys prop other Iowa guys up, Behrens. Like, step your game up, dude.
All right, well,
I'll
sorry.
leave that right there.
Yeah, sorry you have to do that. Remember, this show's all about you. So get your roster questions answered on social media by hitting up at Yahoo Fantasy using the AskFFL hashtag, or you can call in. The number is 877-FFL-GURU. That's 877-FFL-GURU. All right, before we get into the meat and potatoes of our show, we do want to give you a quick update on the action going on right now across the pond in London. The Bucks and the Panthers. The Panthers are winning 17-7. DJ Moore is in.
Yeah, he just got off the field.
Down.
Took a pretty nasty lick to the sternum. May got the wind knocked out of him. Don't know, but he's out of action right now. So looks like a whole lot of Jarius Wright and Curtis Samuel along with Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey has already won you your fantasy title.
Right. And quick update, it is 20-7. The Panthers just kicked a field goal. Also,
My sources are telling me that Jameis Winston's still bad.
I was just going to say, if you have Jameis Winston, we apologize because he's not doing so well. 3 turnovers so far, I think.
Yeah.
But Mike Evans catching balls. Shutout last week, six catches, close to 70 yards already, so that is a positive trend. And O.J. Howard!
We had an O.J. Howard sighting.
O.J. Howard alert!
And that's
He's
just
actually
what
doing
Carolina's
something.
defense does, too. I mean, they ball out and they get turnovers, they pressure the passes. So, I mean, more of the same.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, well, we will keep you updated throughout the show, but it is time now to select our Fantasy Terminators of the Week, presented, of course, by Terminator Dark Fate, which hits theaters November 1st. Now, these are players who are under 25% started this week, but they are destined to take down the competition with a big performance. So, Tank, let's start with you.
All right, start with me. I'm going to start off with D.D. Westbrook going against the New Orleans Saints, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Saints give up the 6 fewest points to running backs, and D.D. is going to have a interesting. Oh, I like that little edit of D.D. too.
Wow. He's robotic.
Yeah, but D.D. is going to be going against my cousin, well, not my cousin, P.J. Williams in the slot. And so if you think about Marcus Lattimore going to be on DJ Shark on the outside, D.D. Westbrook has the ultimate matchup. And when you look at what CeeDee Lamb, an OU wide receiver, did yesterday in college football, I think D.D. Westbrook, a former OU wide receiver currently playing for the Jaguars, is in a prime situation to ball out this week. D.D. Westbrook.
All right, Andy, you're up.
Yeah, listen, interim Washington coach Bill Callahan is threatening to turn it back to, 1977, 78 with the game plan, wants to keep the ball on the ground. That is going to serve Adrian Peterson very well. I can easily imagine him sort of Asiataing his way to 80 rushing yards. That might take 30 carries, but he might get it. I like him to run for at least 80 this week and a touchdown. He's facing Miami. Miami has allowed 176 rushing yards per game, almost 5 yards per carry. It is a blow-up spot for Peterson. I think he gets it done this week.
Brad?
Mohamed Sanu is going to be a popular theme on the show today. A player that I've been getting just hammered with questions about, and for good reason, because the matchup is delightful. He's lined up in the slot over 80% of the time, which means he's going to see a lot of Tremaine Brock in those situations. And Brock has been just serving up fantasy points on a silver platter to the opposition, giving up a 146.8 passer rate to his assignments. Sanu right now quietly wide receiver 35 on the season. He's netting 7.2 targets per game, 5.8 receptions, 56.2 yards per game with a couple of touchdowns. I think he goes for 70 plus and a score, and he's due to play quarterback. Maybe the most accomplished quarterback in NFL history, according to passer ratings, as Curtis Samuel's in the end zone. Yes!
Right on cue.
Yes! I'll play Mohamed Sanu as well.
How about Jameis Winston just hitting Luke Kuechly in stride?
Yeah,
a
another
beautiful
pick
ball
for
from
James.
Jameis.
Oh, boy. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Be sure to catch Terminator Dark Fate in theaters November 1st. And keep up with all the latest from the movie by following @Terminator on social media. And speaking of social media, let's bring Liz and Matt in to answer some of your roster questions. Hey, guys, what you got?
Well, first one we have here is actually about one Mohamed Sanu, who Brad was just honking about there. Our questioner has Juju Smith-Schuster versus Mohamed Sanu for a starting spot this week. And Liz, we talked about this before we went on the air. We're in agreement
this,
here.
huh?
Yeah, right? What are we doing, man?
You guys, like, we get that Duck Hodges is a downgrade, but Juju? Yeah, we got to call him Duck Hodges. Shout out to Scott Fish for that nickname. I didn't create it before anyone subtweets me. So Juju Smith-Schuster is obviously the play here. Sanu is great, but Sanu is a great high floor option, and Juju is still the #1 receiver for whatever that's worth, clearly not a lot, on the Steelers team.
And I mean, to be fair, most of the time he's been making big plays this year. It's been after the catch anyways.
Yes.
He doesn't need old Ducky Hodges to be dumping balls down the field
And
for
he's
him.
not going to be covered by Casey Hayward in this one.
That is very true. I got some more nugs on that later. Stay tuned.
Oh.
Anyways, moving on. Second question is a quarterback one. #AskFFL. Stafford or Cousins? I know that Stafford's been really great this year. He's coming off the bye.
I love this too because like nobody wants to trust Kirk Cousins, and you shouldn't trust Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins doesn't trust Kirk Cousins, and that's why he throws up all over himself every time there's a clutch moment. So I get it. However, I think you're with me here.
Yeah.
You're still gonna go with Kirk Cousins because the test here is the Philadelphia secondary, and Mike Zimmer, Lord in heaven, please let Kirk Cousins air this one out and not throw up on himself. This is a beatable secondary.
Yeah, scrape up the vomit here. The only damage, of course, could be done in the pass rush department, where Minnesota, of course, struggles to protect Kirk Cousins. But I think with a couple quick separators like Thielen, Diggs, he could get the ball out quick and attack this very beatable secondary, as you mentioned. We have one question from the chat that I want to hit on before we jump out of here, too. And remember, you people out there watching, when you want to get your question answered in the chat, the best way to do it is by using a ton of emojis.
Or find a creative way.
Find a creative
Find a creative way.
Stand
We
out.
leave it to you.
Stand out. And I want to address the one up here, Michael Gallup or Odell Beckham Jr. And again, it's come to this.
You're starting OBJ.
Are you?
I have some OBJ. When we do a little quick slants a little bit later.
Okay.
OBJ is the answer here. It has come to this, but this is the day.
I think Gallup against the Jets might be the better option. I don't know.
Because you haven't ever seen things that are theoretical great matchups blow up in your face.
I think that happens to me literally all the time. But so yeah, when we come back to the chat later, make sure you people use your emojis out there, get our attention, or stand out in some way. Say something funny, say something cute. We're reading a lot of just typical old things in here. Do something different.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Time now for our first quick slant. Let's discuss the Houston Texans on the road visiting the Kansas City Chiefs after their first loss of the year. It's a battle of 2017 first-round quarterbacks as Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes square off. So let's put 90 seconds on the clock and dive a little deeper into this one, guys.
Yeah, let's not talk about the setup for 4-team leagues if you have Mahomes or Deshaun Watson in this one. Let's focus on the running backs, Behrens, because you got a double nickel 55-point total forecasted in this particular contest, and is a fantastic setup for one Damian Williams. You like him today?
I do like him today. You look at the snap counts from last week, it was Damian Williams with 34, LaShawn McCoy and Darrell Williams with 14 each. So Damian Williams is back to sort of having the driver's seat there. It's still a committee, but he gets the best part of that committee, and he's good for 5-6 receptions a week. I think he finds the end zone here, too.
Yeah, the Houston Texans have allowed the most receptions, 45 in total. That's easy math. 9 per game surrendered to the running back position. What about the wide receivers? Tyreek Hill, sounds like he's going to play, Tank. A lot of people asking about Byron Pringle. No Sammy Watkins. You still have Mecole Hardman there. You got Demarcus Robinson as well. Would you roll the dice on Pringle? And what are your thoughts on Tyreek? Do you think he's going to be limited in terms of snap count?
I mean, I think if Tyreek is going to be out there, they're going to play him. And then this is probably one of the best matchups he can have against that Houston defense. I mean, they're just known for giving up big plays, i.e. Will Fuller going just crazy last week. So I think you have Tyreek. You definitely have to roll him out because, I mean, the matchup lends itself to it. Pringle, I mean, obviously, he played in the kind of Sammy Watkins role, and so he should be viable again today.
And Bradley Roby in the slot primarily, and that's where Pringle played 44% of the time last week. He's given up 100-plus passer rating to his assignments. Guys, and I love both Texans running backs, too. And Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson. Don't be shocked if both of them find the end zone.
No Kenny Stills in this one. That could help.
Kiki Kuti?
Yep.
And Mahomes is still nursing that ankle injury, so are we worried about him at all?
Not really. I mean, they said he looked pretty nimble in practice this week, but if I got Kyler Murray, I'm playing him ahead of Patrick Mahomes today.
Whoa, hey, whoa, okay.
How is that a hot take? DJ Bebop's over like, what?
I mean, he's Patrick Mahomes. I will say, when he was gimpy last week, it was a totally different story.
Yeah, but I still don't know if I'll play Murray over Mahomes.
Hashtag Team Huevos. Team Razor.
Right.
I could sign off on Deshaun. I could sign off on Lamar Jackson, but not Kyler.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's go back down to Liz and Matt, who are standing by for Off Their Game. Now, these are players who are owned in more than 50% of Yahoo leagues, but our experts don't think they'll be very successful for you. So who makes your list today, guys?
Yeah, for me, it's one of your favorites, Liz. I'm so sorry. Kenny Galladay, and I'm not saying, you got to bench. Get him out of here.
on him all season long.
I know. Well, I've been nailing this one. Let's come back to take clock here. And why I think he's going to be a little off his game in this one. Look, the Packers give up a lot of yards to outside receivers. That's definitely true. However, they give up just a 51% catch rate, 73 or 79.3 passer rating, meaning there's been a lot of mistakes when you're throwing against those outside cornerbacks for the Green Bay Packers. And we know that this defense has been great at rushing the passer this year. Both of the Smith boys are getting after the quarterbacks. And Matt Stafford, he's been really, really good this year. But under pressure, he has just a 43% completion rating and compared to 70% when he's been kept clean. So I think that if he's forced into making some mistakes in this one, it could be when he's throwing to those outside cornerbacks with Kenny Galladay, in coverage there. So he's a guy that I'm lowering expectations on. I'm not saying like you got to yank him out of your lineup no matter what, but definitely bringing the expectations down a little bit. And what I could think, it could be a pretty defensive-heavy game here on Monday night.
Well, I'm going to talk about Bob Woods, and this one pains me because he is hashtag good in real life. But in fantasy, he's yet to score a touchdown all season, and he's only had one big game that was in Week 4 against Tampa Bay. Here's the deal with this matchup. Obviously, the Rams' offensive line has had trouble protecting Jared Goff, right? He's been sacked, eight times so far this season, and the San Francisco 49ers D-line is no joke. They got after Baker Mayfield 5 times last Monday night. Also, coverage here. Bob Woods is going to see a lot of Richard Sherman. That's the 49ers' best cornerback. He's still got it, handshake or not. I just don't think that you're going to get premium production out of Woods, especially since Cooks is back and has cleared the concussion protocol. He has the ceiling. Cooper is the safety valve. That makes Woods nothing but a real high floor wide receiver 3 if you're lucky.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Let's get to our shootout or shutdown segment where the guys look at the high and low point totals projected by Vegas this week. We'll start with the Falcons and the Cardinals. Any chance these teams score up the scoring column?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the total's up to 52 in most sports books right now, and this game's got muy caliente written all over it, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you first. Now, obviously, I'm huge on Kyler Murray, but no Christian Kirk today. If you're going to stack Cardinals, obviously Larry Fitzgerald in the mix, but are there any wild cards here? Damiere Byrd, maybe Keyshawn Johnson, Trent Sherfield, anybody?
Larry, and Larry. That's all I'm focused on if I'm stacking somebody with Kyler Murray today.
Well, and David Johnson looks like he's going to play too, despite the bulky back. So that's good news. So Chase Edmonds may have a little bit higher snap share than we've grown accustomed to seeing. So, all right, I'm with you there on Larry.
Yeah,
Fitzgerald.
Edmonds still blew up last week, even not with like a full-time role, right? So he can do it if he just gets 8-10 touches. And against these defenses, I mean, like, this is kind of a start everybody game, right? Both defenses allow.
Like, I feel like you have to throw out on Miami, because Miami is just Miami, the worst team we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But after that, Atlanta's like the worst defense in the league.
Well, remember, too, there's no Desmond Trufant.
Yeah.
That might be an upgrade for Atlanta because he's given up 5 touchdowns in 5 games. I mean, he's been highly exploitable in that secondary, but still, as you guys mentioned, 8+ YPA allowed through the air. Not only that, too, but I love Austin Hooper. We were talking about that. This could be 7, 8, 9 catch game. We know the struggles that Arizona's had containing plus-size targets. Calvin Ridley, you and I got a lot of questions on. We both feel that he's a top 20 guy.
I mean, both teams allowing more than 8 yards per pass attempt. Both teams allowing more than 120 rushing yards a game. I mean, there's just a ton of yards and points available.
Frenzy.
Moral of the story, play everyone!
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's go to the Mile High City. And you got Tennessee, you got Denver. More of a shutdown game here in terms of the projected total at 40.5. Broncos are favored in this contest. Tank, let me start with you in terms of Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton very quietly is the 10th most valuable wideout in fantasy land. Do you think he finds the end zone today against your former employer in the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, I think he could find the end zone just because Tennessee, they have some really good cornerbacks, but they are small. And so I think if Courtland's like playing with the jump ball and stuff like that, and he's getting targeted a lot in the red zone these days. But I think my favorite play, even though I like to have running backs at home, is Derrick Henry going against that Denver rush defense.
Yeah, with straight booty juice,
Yeah.
booty missed, booty whatever.
Booty missed.
Booty missed, giving up, 225 to Leonard Fournette a couple of weeks ago at home. So, yeah, Derrick Henry could be a horse, of course, in this game. Noah Fant. He's interesting, isn't he? Where did he go to school?
Look at you
in
taking
Iowa,
the Iowa
right?
tight end questions to me. I mean, only moderately interesting. There's 4 teams on bye, so I can imagine having to plug in Noah Fant. But man, he's been a roller coaster.
Titans defense one of the worst against tight ends, though.
Yeah.
For what that's worth.
How often?
But
are
they
really,
don't target to him.
How often are they really
target.
going to target him?
True.
4 times, 5 times? That's not gonna be enough.
Touche.
I think he's got a good shot at finding the end zone. I actually love Phillip Lindsay, too. I think he's a firm top 20 play in this one. Titans giving up 4.5 yards per carry. And can my boy Royce get some red zone love? Please?
Royce actually played more snaps than Lindsey last week, despite the fantasy production. It's still a committee.
Yeah, they're going back and forth. I mean, it's split right down the middle, but we don't know if it's going to be more of a Lindsey snap share game or if it's going to be more of a Royce game. What we do know, again, is that the matchup is beatable on paper for both of these guys. So, and with 4 teams on a 1-week siesta, you could do far worse than Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman.
Well, we have to take our first break, but when we return, the judge is back in his chamber.
Hey! Slam that gavel!
I miss my wig.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Live here on Yahoo Sports. It's time for us to get serious and turn our attention to Judge Andrew Behrens. For this week's edition of Fantasy Court, All Rise as the Honorable One helps out a desperate fantasy user.
My wig is shedding over here, by the way. I don't know if somebody was messing with it last week. I've got my eyes on everyone. It is shedding a little bit.
I like everyone, but he's pointing at me.
Well, I see how you are with it, Offset. Question this week is from Quan. He says, please help. I'm commissioner of my league. I sent a trade to a player and he accepted it. Now he's claiming he did it by accident.
Oh, no.
And he wants me to reverse it and is asking the league to veto it. Mind you, this is a cash league and the trade is not lopsided. People, I don't want to have to deal with this one ever again. There is no such thing as an accidental trade, okay? I want to walk through the process again at Yahoo Leagues. We don't offer one-click trading, okay? First thing you have to do is accept it, and there's a green button and a red button. We color code it for you. And then once you accept it, you have to go to another screen, a confirmation screen, where you'll pop up. It says, are you sure? You are making this trade, are you sure? You have to click that as well. It's color-coded. We make you choose it twice. I don't believe this guy. I very rarely believe anybody who says that they do this by accident, especially in a cash league if these are hardcore players. So we got all kinds of problems here because the commissioner is actually involved in this thing, and you allow league vote vetoes, which is a separate horror show. I don't like that either. What I am ruling here, because the league has probably already voted on this thing, it's probably not gone through. I need you to make sure that this never happens again. No one ever gets to, and this is a broad ruling applicable to all leagues. This isn't just your league. I don't want to hear another complaint about an accidental trade. No one is allowed to bring it up again. It is not a valid excuse. Toss it out.
What if they're colorblind?
Yeah, what if it is an accident?
It is never an accident. These people are lying.
One of our production guys,
Oh my
he actually butt dropped Gardner Minshew.
The butt drop is a separate situation.
And that actually happened. We still don't know how to explain it, but he said I was on my phone, I got Gardner Minshew, then I went through the process, and I butt dropped him. What? So,
Okay,
yeah,
that's a new
it
one.
happened. You never know.
Well, if you happen to butt drop someone by accident, or if there's a last-second play or a missed kick that cost you your matchup this week, make sure you tell us about it. Send a video to @Yahoo Fantasy using the hashtag FFLBadBeats, and Andy will put his wig back on and try not to mock you as much as he did this last guy. All right, let's get a check of our social channels to see what questions you guys have. Hey, Liz and Matt, what's going on down there?
We are combing through the chat right now, and that means you people send in your questions with emojis to catch our attention. But the first one that I want to address is one that was sent in with a lot of beers.
Yeah.
Chris from Facebook looks like he needs to be drinking some beer considering the state of his fantasy team. This is coming down to, do you want to start Auden Tate or Jordan Howard at flex today? Howard's been on a roll lately, but I know that we kind of disagree on this one, Liz. I think you should play Auden Tate because the Ravens have given up the 7th most yards to receivers lined up out wide, and they've also been given up in the slot too, as you mentioned to me earlier. But I think you're chasing some garbage time here, but garbage time points still count. I'm going to play Auden Tate over Jordan Howard.
This is ridiculous.
Howard on the road in Minnesota. Give me a break.
Yes, and you know what? The Minnesota Vikings have given up 1 rushing touchdown. We're going to get to it a little bit later in over-unders to a running back, and it was Aaron Jones back in week 2. I know that Jordan Howard isn't Aaron Jones, but also Auden Tate is going to get choked out by Marlon Humphrey in this one. What are you thinking? You're not going to chase Auden Tate? I mean, the Bengals passing game is what you're putting your money in over a Philadelphia backfield. This is bananas. Start Jordan Howard. You may not get a touchdown, but you know what? You're definitely not getting a touchdown with Tate.
By the way, did you ever see the video that the Ravens official website put out on showing how that wasn't actually a chokeout thing? If there was ever state-run media, that was it right there. But that's a topic for another time. Another question. Start one in the flex, PPR. Ooh, this is a lot of good players. DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, or Cooper Kupp, and we've got the vomiting
One
emoji.
of those?
You got to start one of them in
You're
the flex.
vomiting because your choices are too damn good? Cry me a river. All right, you're starting Nuke.
I like that call. I like that call of this group. Cooper Kupp, obviously. I think he's probably
Cooper Kupp's like a top 9 receiver, a top 8 receiver, but I mean, I know that Nuke has disappointed, but in this matchup, you have to imagine he gets going. And honestly, if Nuke blows up at Arrowhead in this matchup on your bench, you are going to definitely do more than just vomit.
you'll probably be doing a little self-hatred on this fine Sunday, which we don't want you to do. Next question we have here from YouTube. How exciting, YouTube. Tevin Coleman, Malcolm Brown, or Damian Williams in the flex? And we've got a couple thinking emojis here.
Tevin Coleman, Malcolm Brown, or Damian Williams?
Yep. None of them are in like great spots.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Malcolm Brown just because of volume. I think I understand the Damian Williams and wanting any piece of that matchup. To me, Hyde is just plain floor. The upside isn't really there with the. He said Carlos Hyde, right? Was that in the mix?
Nope.
Too? Nope. All right. Well, I'm adding it to the mix. Oh, it was Tevin Coleman. Anyway, I think you should go with Malcolm Brown just because of the perceived volume. Would you agree there?
I think I would agree. Yeah. I mean, he should lead that backfield pretty firmly in touches. Now, last one we are going to get to here. Help. Need a flex choice here between Jarvis Landry, your boy Jordan Howard, and Chase Edmonds.
My boy.
Your boy Jordan Howard. That's my narrative now. Oh man, this is brutal.
So it's Jarvis Landry, Juice, Jordan Howard, my boy, and who was the last one?
Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds. Well, no, because David Johnson's playing. He'll be fine. He'll put some CBD oil on that back, and he's good.
You know what they say about bad backs?
You ain't never not got one?
Well, for me, it's Jarvis Landry in this.
Sure, I'll go with Juice.
I think this should be a pretty high-scoring game. I think you roll out Landry in this spot, even though normally.
Oh, Landry, but not OBJ.
Well, you're rolling out both of them. I mean, give me a break.
You are rolling out both of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but definitely roll out Auden Tate ahead of all of these guys.
Well, that's not what I said. Let's stick on consistent narratives here, like your guy Jordan Howard.
You have never spun a. You have
get him in your lineup wherever you got him. That's we will come back to our chat later. Remember, hit the chat with emojis or whatever else you think might make you stand out from all the rest of the schlubs in there.
Thank you, guys. Time now for our first over-under. This is where we give our experts a stat and a player, and they decide whether they'll go over or under that number. So Brad and Andy talked about this matchup a little earlier. The Cardinals will host the Atlanta Falcons. Kyler Murray has just 4 touchdowns on the year, but will he score more today, facing a Falcons team that gave up 53 points a week ago? Let's go over or under on 2.5 TDs for Mr. Murray. Andy?
Well, so there's no question this is in play. It's a valid question. Atlanta has been terrible, legitimately terrible. Again, over 8 yards per attempt allowed, just a brutal defense in all dimensions. Kyler Murray is missing some weapons this week. There's not going to be a Christian Kirk. David Johnson is dinged right now. He's also never done this. He's thrown a couple of touchdown passes in a game. We've seen that. We've seen a little rushing dimension over the last couple of weeks, but this team is not exactly piling up points. I like him for 2 combined touchdowns today, not 3.
Last week I chose an over-under because the Reverend went under, and this week I'm going opposite of him because what are you smoking, dog? Like, Kyler Murray is going against the Atlanta Falcons, and they give up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Do you understand that they give up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks, and that's including Miami Dolphins? Did you see what Lamar Jackson did to Miami week 1? Man, stop playing with me, doggo.
Preach!
Never question me.
Yeah, I'm going over 2. The Falcons suck at everything. They can't rush the passer. They can't cover. Oh, by the way, their top cornerback probably going to miss this game too. So,
well,
even better. If the guys who are already starting can't do it, let's definitely throw the backups in there. No, the Falcons are terrible. This will be Murray's big fantasy breakout.
We may need to start calling him Reverend Harmon because he just preached the gospel.
I would happily give up that.
That level of pulpit.
All right, guys, let's get to another quick slant. This time we're talking 4-0 San Francisco visiting an LA Rams squad who have lost their last 2. And since we have a lifelong San Francisco fan and a Rams season ticket holder, let's let Liz and Matt have 90 seconds to break this one down.
Matt, the Rams side of things are looking a little bleak. We've lost 2 games in a row. We have lost 2 games in a row. Todd Gurley is out for this one. We have to talk about the Rams backfield because Malcolm Brown is the assumed starter here. He's going to be the featured back. You also have Darrell Henderson, the rookie. Gonna see some run finally. I think he's had 2 whole snaps in his pro career so far. And then my boy John Kelly finally activated off of that practice squad, although he is insurance, sadly. I think here, how are you delineating these 2? I'll say right now I've got Malcolm Brown as my RB17, Henderson as my RB42, as much as I wish he was higher, and John Kelly's not even ranked.
I mean, Wouldn't it be a riot if John Kelly got more touches than Darrell Henderson, just so those graveyard teams?
So I've thought about this.
You have.
But I had it all in on John Kelly. Malcolm Brown started ahead of him, and then also C.J. Anderson was added ahead of John Kelly. So, like, I just don't feel good about McVay's love for J.K.
Yeah, I really don't think either Kelly or even Henderson is a fantasy option in this one because of the matchup. You mentioned it earlier. That San Francisco 49ers defense is really, really good. I think that Brown, though, is a volume play. And I mean, really cheap in daily fantasy. You got to get him in your lineup there. So I think he's just a clear-cut backfield leader here.
Yeah, last week we should just mention the 49ers held Nick Chubb to 87 rushing yards. Now Malcolm Brown is no Nick Chubb, but he has the floor. You made a really brilliant point on the Yahoo Fantasy Football podcast on Thursday about the San Francisco 49ers running game. 2 tackles in that O-line out. Juszczyk out really quickly.
Yep.
Should we be afraid of Burita or Coleman?
No, I think you're still playing them because this Rams defense, it's been pretty solid against the run, but it's really the schematic genius of Kyle Shanahan that I think brings this all together. So yeah, you're missing some pieces, but Daniel Jeremiah noted on his podcast that this is the offense that people watch in the league, not the McVay offense on the other side of the field when they want to see how to design plays. So I'm still playing Coleman and Breida in this spot, even though there are some injury concerns.
We may not be schematic geniuses when it comes to time because we know that bell dung, but there was some good info we thought you needed to have. Back to you, Amanda.
Thank you, guys. A quick update on this game in London.
Wait, who scored? Who scored?
Curtis Samuel has
Just
the second touchdown of the game.
Goodness.
Yeah.
33-10, pending the extra point that's about to go up.
That was a sick catch.
He put his undercarriage on that DB's forehead. Oh my goodness.
I would
You gotta
like
get it done somehow.
I would
right?
like my
Is
James
that a custom in
garbage time
England?
now.
I had no
Might be.
idea.
All right, let's get to the phone lines for some play calling. Thank you for waiting so patiently. We really do appreciate it. Remember, the number to call is 877-FFL-GURU. Our first caller is Brian in Chicago. Good morning, Brian. How can we help?
Morning, everyone. I got a flex question and a half-point PPR. I need one. Jordan Howard, Tevin Coleman, Alshon Jeffrey, or Dede Westbrook?
For me, it's Tevin Coleman. Look, I understand that San Francisco's down McClinchy. They're down Joe Staley on that offensive line. But this unit, even down 2 key components, is still a well-oiled machine with this one cut-and-go scheme. And Tevin Coleman looked dynamite last week. Back from injury, he was exploding through the hole. Great one cut-and-go back. Obviously, he knows the zone blocking system of Kyle Shanahan. And you can run on the Rams.
Yep.
You know, get up the 9th most fantasy points for running back position. I think he is going to find the end zone again. He is the primary red zone guy for this team.
Yeah, the identity of that team is pretty clearly going to be to run the football. Breida looked great. Coleman looked great. I'm with you on Coleman. I do think Westbrook is he's tempting. I think he's going to blow up today. I think he's going to have a great day, but I'll still go.
Because he's facing who? Oh, it's Pilo Junk Williams.
Not my cousin. Not my cousin.
Second cousin?
Not my cousin. Not even second cousin.
Kicked out of the family? Yeah.
All right, our next caller is our friend Dave in Wisconsin. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Oh,
Wonderful.
All right. This is in a Yahoo Pro League. It's a defense question. Baltimore or the LA Chargers?
Chargers.
Yeah.
Yep,
I agree.
all day.
Yep.
Yeah, rookie quarterback coming off a disappointing home loss against the Broncos. Primetime game. They should smash tonight.
Okay. We have another Dave, but this one's in California. So good morning, Dave in California. How can we help?
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. I have a question. I have Phillip Rivers as my starting quarterback. Drew Brees hurt. I have the Jacksonville quarterback off the waiver wire. Did I pick him up?
Okay, so I guess he's asking between
Rivers
Phillip
and
Rivers
Minshew?
and Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the Minshew, right? I
Yeah,
mean, they're
going
handing
Minshew.
out the facial hair at the game today. The line is moved in favor of Jacksonville. It opened at -1. Now they're 3-point favorites. And Minshew has been the 11th best quarterback in fantasy this season. This is a guy who has completed an obscene amount of passes beyond 20 yards. His passer rating on Chucks during that distance is 119.4. So I think Gardner Minshew, 280, couple of touchdowns, pads the bottom line with 20 rushing, doable.
Yeah, 9 touchdowns in 5 weeks, 1 interception on the season. Looks great. He's taking big chances. DJ Chark looks like a star. Absolutely. Yeah, this is Minshew for me.
Yep. Minshew for you too?
I think next week, Jacksonville, they're going to wear their alternate uniforms where the pants are actually going to look like those jorts that Minshew wears.
Wow. Sexy.
Yeah, going all in Minshew.
Good thigh game.
All right, we've got to step away for a moment, but when we come back, Liz will tell you which players will cause some fantasy damage this week. Stay tuned.
Can we get some DJ Moore action?
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Live as we cruise along here in Week 6. Liz Loza has some sleepers for us to keep an eye on. So Liz, who are you highlighting in this week's edition of Fantasy Damage?
Well, I want to kick it off first with Mohamed Sanu, but Brad did such a good job talking about his matchup against Tremaine Brock. I just wanted to add a couple of little extra facts, and that was number one. Would you believe it if I told you that Mohamed Sanu is leading all Falcons wide receivers in snaps with 82.5%? He also has a catch percentage of 80.6. That's wide receiver 3 for that statistical category. He's averaging nearly 6 receptions per game. He's had 2 red zone looks in back-to-back weeks. The matchup we talked about, awesome. Arizona has allowed 12 receiving touchdowns. Tremaine Brock giving up a bunch. If I had to fearlessly forecast for Sanu, I would give him 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. But enough Sanu. Let's talk running backs because we're all real banged. Mark Ingram, obviously one of the biggest chalk plays heading into Week 6. He's the RB9 Yahoo consensus for the week. I mean, dude has been balling in this run-heavy offense. He has 16 red zone rushing attempts, that's RB7, 6 goal line carries, that's RB2 so far this year. But interestingly, Gus Edwards, his backup, his clear-cut backup, has just 5 fewer red zone rushing attempts and 3 fewer goal line carries. For reference, that's the same number of red zone rushing attempts as, Joe Mixon, as, Carlos Hyde, and, Brad, cover your ears, as David Montgomery. This week, he gets the Bengals run defense. They are allowing a YPC of 5.0 to opposing rushers, and they've allowed 7 rushing scores so far on the season. Listen, the Ravens are likely to get ahead in this one like they did in Week 1 against Miami. They could maybe want to save Mark Ingram, who is almost 30 years old now, and put Gus the Bus in for some run. He's only $15 in our daily game. Finally, at tight end, because again, another position that's really volatile. Let's talk about Noah Fant, because heading into Week 5, his stock was trending upward. His number of snaps were up. His routes run were up. That all came admittedly to a screeching halt last week against the Chargers because the offense flowed really out of Phillip Lindsay and Cortland Sutton, and that was it. But I still like Fant. I did a podcast with my colleague here, Matt Hartman, who had rookie orientation over the summer, talking about Noah Fant's wild athleticism. He's a 94th percentile spark athlete, and he's got a great matchup against Tennessee, who allowed 4 scores at the position over the first month of the season, and then just gave up over 100 yards to Austin Hooper last week. So if you're looking for a dart throw, I've got Noah Fant in that tight end 12 to 14 range.
All right, thank you very much, Liz. Before we get to another quick slant, I want to give you a quick score update in London. The Bucs scored, went for 2, got it. It is now 34-8.
A Bucs tight end caught a touchdown.
Cameron Brate.
But it's Cameron Brate.
Those Harvard boys be sneaky.
All right, let's talk Jaguars hosting the New Orleans Saints. It's been 3 weeks without Drew Brees, and things have been going better than expected with Teddy Bridgewater leading the Saints. So when they go into Jacksonville today, how do we think they'll fare against Minshew and his mom?
Oh, the Minshew madness. Yeah, we're going to get in more detail about that secondary of the New Orleans Saints and what version's going to show up. But Behrens, I'm going to cue you up first because Alvin Kamara, I've been getting peppered with questions on Twitter about him. The trust factor and, revolving around his ankle, the fact it was a midweek injury. Do you think we're going to see more Latavius Murray? It's certainly an exploitable matchup as the Jags are giving up over 5 yards per carry to RBs this year.
Highly exploitable matchup. The Jags actually allow the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. I don't know how you can sit Kamara, right? Like, he's going to play in this one, and you've got to start him. You probably spent $50 on him in an auction, right? He was your first-round pick. You got to play him. I think we might get a little bit more Latavius Murray, but Murray hasn't really had that Mark Ingram role. So it's not like we can bank on, 12, 14 touches. You're just hoping that he makes a goal line plunge. He's a little bit spicier this week, but still not somebody I'm going to throw in my top 30.
Yeah, rich man's version of Peyton Barber, I guess, is a way that you look at Latavius Murray. Is that too harsh?
Why did you do that to him?
Well, sorry, man. I just kind of skewered him a little bit. Speaking of getting skewered, this secondary New Orleans was burnt like toast the first 3 weeks of the regular season. And then the last couple of games at home, Marshawn Lattimore and company got right.
A little bit, kinda.
Well, yeah, I mean, you saw what they did against Mike Evans last week.
You saw what the God did against him, too.
Well, that's also valid. So, you love D.D. Westbrook, you love DJ Chark. You're not going to wane off that stance at all, thinking that a downtrodden version of this Saints secondary is going to show up, right?
No, you're not going to wane against either one of them, but at the same time, if I'm looking for someone that I want to exploit, it's going to be D.D. Westbrook against P.J. Williams versus DJ Chark, who's been balling out of his mind, but he'll probably have the tougher matchup with Marshawn Lattimore. But if you got either one of those guys in your lineup, I mean, you definitely got to roll with them on your squad.
Yeah, feel you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to send you over to the monitor.
I'm going.
Brad is going to give us his picks today, and you all can decide whether you should follow or fade the noise. As always, we leave that up to you.
All right, so this got better, but I'm still not making any money because of the Jews. This one, I'm not really making any money either because of the Jews. So let's actually, make some money this time on this edition of Fade the Noise. Let's go ahead and start off with a matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and Arizona Cardinals. We've already been talking up this game endlessly. Now, Atlanta 1-5 against the spread in its last 6 contests. They've also gone over in 7 of their last 8 games against NFC West opponents. Arizona, meanwhile, 4-2 ATS in its last 6, and they've gone over in 4 of their last 6 contests. I kind of like Arizona on the money line, but the smart wager here, and I hate tailing the public, but I'm going to take the over on 51.5. 72% of the over tickets, or the tickets right now, public speaking, is on the over. But still, I think this game's got a lot of shootout appeal in the desert. Moving on to a matchup under the prime time lights. This looked a hell of a lot sexier in August when it was Ben Roethlisberger going up against Phillip Rivers. But now we've got Devlin Hodges going up against the Riv, who should be raging. He was more of a babbling brook last week against the Denver Broncos. And you look at the Chargers, 1-4-1 ATS in their last 6 games. They've gone under in 4 of the last 5. Pittsburgh under in 8 of their last 12 contests, but 11-5 ATS last 16 against the Chargers. But again, that was a lot of Ben Roethlisberger. The line, shockingly, has come down a little bit. Some places, if you shop around, you can get it as the Chargers -6. Again, this is a dangerous game. I'm a square. I'm siding with them. I'm taking LAC -6.5. I think they win this game by a touchdown and an extra point and get the cover. Finally, We're going to move on to Monday Night Football. Before I give you one prop bet, we got the Lions, we got the Packers. And this game opened much higher than this. It was actually Green Bay -6. And you can see it's been hammered down -4.5. What we got going on here is what we call reverse line action, where the line is shrinking, yet the public spread ticket action is still heavily favoring the side of the Green Bay Packers. What does that tell you? Probably a lot of sharp money right now. The big whales on the Detroit Lions, and understandably so. Detroit 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 contests against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers 4-1 in their last 5 contests overall. I'm going to side with the smart money. I'm going to side with the sharps. Give me the Lions and the points, a +4.5. I think Green Bay wins this game by a Mason Crosby field goal. And then finally, let's get a prop bet in here. Will Kyler Murray rush for 29.5 rush yards? Seriously, this is a line. It's basically the same money. -112 on the juice on the yes and -112 on the no. Hells to the yes, he's going to go over this. He's averaging 63 rush yards per game in his last 3 efforts. Atlanta, defenseless. They are the path of least resistance in every point of the field, whether through the air or on the ground. What we are seeing from Kyler Murray was the Murray version we expected to see preseason. That's why I ranked him as a top 6 fantasy quarterback. And today he's going to post top 3 numbers, much of that production coming on the ground. Hammer the living daylights out of Kyler. Hammer the living daylights out of the over. Don't fade the noise this week. Follow me and make it rain $100 bills. Back to you.
Loud and clear, Mr. Evans. Loud and clear.
Yes.
Let's check in with our LA crew. Liz and Matt, you guys have any good social questions for us?
I think they're probably fine questions. I don't know about good questions, but, fine ones. The first one comes in from the chat. Remember, we are hitting up our chat room here, so fire those emojis with the questions in there. First one with the shrugging emoji, which I'm a personal fan of.
Sure.
Tyreek Hill or Melvin Gordon here this week. It looks like Hill's finally back.
Yeah, I'm not shrugging about this one. I'm starting Tyreek.
Okay, that's exciting. We'll stay.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll stay ripping on Melvin Gordon here. Would you play Malcolm Brown over Melvin Gordon? Brett said this one via Facebook with the little nerd face emoji.
So I'm not going to rip on Melvin Gordon here because I am going to start him over Malcolm Brown. One of these is a known quantity. The other isn't. And do we really expect that that the Chargers are going to be down against Pittsburgh in this matchup? They are not, which means as much as Austin Eckler has been great in the receiving game, he's not going to be needed that much. And last week, Melvin Gordon, in his real return to action, had 2 red zone looks. So this is an exploitable matchup. I think Melvin Gordon is your start ahead of Brown.
I think if one of them is going to push 20-plus carries, or 20-plus touches, I think it's going to be Malcolm Brown. I would go with Malcolm Brown. Both are tough matchups in this one. The Steelers have a really good run defense as well. I think that short passing game is going to be how the Chargers have to beat that Steelers
don't forget that Gordon. Do you really think that Duck Hodges is going to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers into any sort of game where they're chasing each other?
No, but that front 7 against that Chargers offensive line really, really scares me. So I'm going to go with the LA Rams feature back, Malcolm Brown in that one. But it's a good question. So that was a good question. We had one there. This one comes in from Stalin. Probably not that one. But from Facebook.
Great moment to say somebody's Twitter name on air.
Need to stop. Technically, it's a Facebook name, but whatever. I need to stop the bleeding. Lost the last 3 weeks. They got
That's what happened, Stalin.
The crying emojis, the tears emojis, the poop emojis. Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, and Calvin Ridley's got to start 2 of them.
Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, and
Calvin Ridley.
I'm
going to go with Ridley and Tyler Boyd here. You mentioned it, Brandon Carr for the Baltimore Ravens.
The issue is Chark or Ridley. And do we think that Ridley continues to get up the schneid when Mohamed Sanu clearly has the better matchup, and Austin Hooper also has a great matchup, and Julio Jones is the #1 receiver? I am actually going to go with DJ Chark because he has been unstoppable. And
you've convinced me, and I think actually one good note here too on DJ Chark. Obviously, everyone's going to talk about the matchup with Marshawn Lattimore. Sure. There was one note from Sunday Night Football that Chris Collinsworth brought up. Apparently, Marshawn Lattimore really gets up for those big matchups like versus Amari Cooper, Mike Evans.
Brand name matchups.
The brand names. I don't know if DJ Chark is there quite yet, but I guess we'll find out based on how Lattimore plays him. Maybe just try for all of the games. Last one we're going to do here. This is a flex PPR question. We have Juju Smith-Schuster, Kenny Galladay, Austin Hooper, Phillip Lindsay, or Jarvis Landry.
Woo, you got a lot of options.
A lot of options. Life's all about options. I'm going with Austin Hooper against that Cardinals defense.
Same thing. And he's been on a run over the past few weeks.
No tight end has run more routes in the NFL this year than one Austin Hooper.
Nobody knows more about routes than Matt Harmon.
Love a good route nug. So we're going to come back to the chat later. Keep firing those emoji questions in here, and we are here to help you, the people.
Thank you, guys. As we continue our expert assistance, Andy and Tank are over at the monitor to help some of you with your rosters. So, guys, who are we helping?
We're helping Tizzy Lish.
Tizzy Lish.
You know, I love myself a hot tizzy.
Just making me feel terrible about my own lineup choice. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is your flex dilemma?
Yeah.
Like, who are you starting at receiver if this is your flex dilemma? This is ridiculous. Full PPR league needs 2. There's no, you've said it, Larry, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to go Larry.
You got to go Larry.
Absolutely no sitting Larry this week. For me, this is either Tyler Lockett, who obviously great situation every week, or Aaron Jones, who has recently blown up.
And who's going to get the most volume?
Oh, it's Jones, unquestionably, undeniably. That's Aaron Jones. There's your 2. Mm-hmm. That's a ridiculous set of problems. Need 2 full PPR again. We got Malcolm Brown, we got Bob Woods, we got Chris Thompson. I mean, I can't go Washington when I have viable alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can go Washington if I had something like this is maybe Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, we know we're going to get some receptions here, but even in a difficult matchup, you got to go Malcolm Brown this week. I don't view him as all that different.
Even though Noise is hating on the Rams, though, but hey, we got to go with it.
Not on Malcolm Brown, though. I'm not hating on him.
Noise is a notorious hater, notorious coward.
Yeah, all the above. All the above. This checks out. It verifies.
Oh, we got 5. They need 2. It's a half PPR. We got Gallup, Love, McLaurin, Love, Tyler Boyd. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling terrible about my own lineups now too. I'm going to go Melvin here for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Don't know that I want to start both Chargers, especially when I have such great options over here.
I mean, the way I look at it is that the Ravens are in the perfect smash spot going against that Bengals rush defense. And so if you're going to run it back, Tyler Boyd is the only cat that Andy Dalton can throw to. That just makes perfect sense.
He's going to see 13 or 14 targets today. I agree.
Then that's a wrap. Y'all get the rest next time.
Thank you, guys. Another break for us, but when we come back, we'll go over or under on the touchdown possibilities for a gangrene running back. See you on the flip side.
Give us a little move, Brett.
I need more Jameis.
More Jameis?
Beaver, but steady.
welcome back. We want to get you caught up on what's going on in the Panthers-Bucks showdown this morning in London. The Panthers still lead 34-18, about 9 minutes in the fourth quarter, and it looks like they're about to score again. You were saying just now, Andy, in the break that you want more Jameis garbage.
I need my garbage time. I need Carolina to just hurry up and score here so I can get Jameis back on the field.
Well, it's going to happen.
Hopefully not turning it over.
It's going to happen. But first, it's time to go over or under on Eagles running back Jordan Howard. He has 4 touchdowns over the past 2 games, and today he faces a Vikings defense that enters Week 6 ranked 4th in yards allowed per game. So with that said, will Howard find the end zone today? Brad?
Who is this version of Jordan Howard? I mean, he's running aggressively. He's looking great north-south. We have Loza there coming in at you. Coming in hot right there. But I think he's going to find the end zone. I'm going to take the over here. The Philadelphia Eagles, one of the most efficient run-blocking lines in the league. I know Minnesota's only allowed 1 rushing TD, 2 opposing RBs on the season. But if they go into a goal-to-go situation, Jordan Howard is an absolute bloodhound. He finds the chalk, and he finds a way to cross it. A guy that's got 14 red zone attempts on the season and getting appreciable yards after contact. So, yeah, I think he gets 6, but it's going to be a modest yardage output today.
I'm going with the under because I think Noise said it. I mean, the Vikes have only given up 1 touchdown. Howard has 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games, and so I see some regression on the horizon. And the last time somebody had a lot of faith in the Eagles running back, the one-chip challenge happened. And you ain't going to get the kid with that, so under.
Liz?
I'm still feeling the heat from that one-chip challenge, and it did not burn as much as you thought it might have. So, yes, you're right. The Vikings have given up 3 touchdowns to running backs, 1 on the ground, 2 via the air. So is Jordan going to get that? Is Howard going to get that touchdown via the air? Nah, that's not what he does, not with Miles Sanders getting all those looks. However, Howard does have the 7th most red zone touches on the season, an average of more than 3 per contest. That lone rushing score, as I mentioned earlier, was via Aaron Jones, who is one of just 5 players to have more red zone rushing attempts on the season. So as much as Matt Harmon has decided that Jordan Howard is now my boy, I'm going under.
Well, speaking of Matt Harmon, we are moving on now to our weekly breakdown of wide receivers from Matt. So much Matt. Give us a wideout you like and one you don't like so much this week.
Yeah, all right, everyone. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to clasp each other's hands. We're going to look into the abyss. It's going to look right back at us. We're going to walk into it. We're going to start Stephon Diggs this week because, last week was Adam Thielen's turn to be the squeaky wheel that's getting the grease. I think this time Stephon Diggs gets going here. He's facing a very beatable Eagles secondary that Liz and I talked about earlier. They allowed the most yards, 634, to receivers lined up out wide, and the most touchdowns as well with 5. Obviously, we know Diggs is that vertical threat with an over 14 average depth per target, but especially let's play a little psychological games here. Obviously, hard-ass Mike Zimmer, he's not gonna give the guy that squeaky wheel treatment the week he misses practice. He's gonna give him a bunch of fines, but this time, this is a week later. Now that the fines have been paid, the punishment has been doled out. The Vikings have no incentive to trade Stephon Diggs. They have a lot of incentive to make it work with him. So I think this is the week that Kirk Cousins feeds him, comes out, tries to make him be like, hey, remember, you can like me, even though I'm a very unlikable guy. You can like me, Stephon. So I'm starting Diggs this week. I think you should too, even if it feels gross. Now, one player that I don't really like is in that Sunday Night Football game that we've talked about. It's Mike Williams, the big X receiver on the outside there. Liz and I were talking off air about this, or no, we were talking in one of our sit sections that I think that the Chargers, obviously, what they're going to have to do is get the ball out quickly against this very, very, very ferocious Pittsburgh Steelers front 7. Their sacks per game, they rank number 3. They're going to be getting after Phillip Rivers, who is not played well under pressure this year. Actually, the Chargers have the 3rd most dropbacks where their quarterback has been under pressure. So I think that is a really big mismatch here. And for that reason, I don't think they're going to be able to work those slow, long developing routes with Mike Williams. He is not a guy that I really like here in week 6.
Well, from one guy on the rise in DFS to, Tank.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man, what is going on, bro?
Tank is here to give us his daily fantasy budget plays for week 6. So take these tips with a grain of salt.
No, not really, because everybody that I recommend on this segment, they ball out. It's just the people that I actually put in my lineup.
No, exactly. You don't even follow your own advice.
So I'm going to just start following my advice. And so my advice this week, and Noise has been all over him, Kyler Murray, the dude is $26. He's going against the team that gives up the most points to fantasy quarterbacks. He averages 20 points per game, and I just don't see how this dude can fail. He has all the high upside with his legs, and so this is really a matchup. I'm not going to go on it. We've been talking about Kyler so much already. Just get him in your lineup. He's cheap. He's going to ball. At running back, another guy that's cheap, and he's going to ball. Malcolm Brown, only $10. Ty Gurley is out. And the thing about the San Francisco 49ers defense, like, trust me, I love them. They're good. At the same time, they played the Bucs, the Browns, the Steelers. So I think that some of those stats are a little bit skewed. They're going to play against a solid offense who has a back that we know he's healthy. Only $10, going to get a lot of volume. Get Malcolm Brown in your lineup. Going to wide receiver. The Baltimore Ravens are in the perfect smash spot for their running game. Lamar, Mark Ingram are going to go crazy. No John Ross, no A.J. Green. Tyler Eifert is dust. This dude, Tyler Boyd, got 38% of the target share last week. He's the only dude that Andy Dalton can throw it to, and he's $20. Say no more. Going to tight end. My man Gerald Everett has 9.5 targets, averaging 9.5 targets, 15 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks. Only $15. I know Brandon Cooks is probably going to play. They're trying to get him more involved in the offense. He's been the second most targeted guy by the Rams in the red zone. When everybody else is in that 22, Austin Hooper's $25. Kelsey's up there in the $26 range. This is about the best value you can get for $15, and he should get targeted a lot. And last but not least, we're going with the Chargers defense because noise. Who's playing quarterback for the Steelers tonight?
That is Devlin Hodges of the Stanford of the South. Sanford.
Oh.
Say no more.
There it is. There it is.
All right, well, let's take a look at the Guru Challenge standings after 5
Oh, yeah. Let's
weeks.
find out where Tank is.
This is exciting. So, as we mentioned, Matt was the big winner last week. He had the highest score so far this season.
Coming to get you, Mandy.
Get another spot in the ranks. He is, or you are. So, Andy, that lead over Tank you talked about has only
Look at me, the only member of the 600 Club right now.
The only member.
Should we call him the Septic Tank?
Oh.
Don't make me change my lineup and just go total tourney lineup.
Need a new hat.
And just catch up in 1 week.
I'm
going tourney lineup. Damn it. I don't care.
Do it.
I'm going tourney lineup.
Brad round out the top 3, and we're in the cellar, guys, as the Sunnyvale squad. So.
Well,
you
Matt
just had that
doesn't think
monster
he's in
week,
the
though.
cellar. He just told me he's okay. He just told me he was running up from the basement, so y'all better watch out.
Well, I think Amanda said that I had the highest point total.
You did.
Of
But
any
you're still
team this week.
overall in the cellar. I am just quoting Amanda. I'm not trying to start
I'm just making a note about my volatility here. I think I had the lowest point as total of all time with like 78 in week 1. So that's volatility, baby. You can start in the cellar.
Play, Matt Harmon.
It's okay. It's a
Nobody
long
better.
season, right? It's only week 6, so hopefully it only goes up from here.
Well, I'm trying to get my Kim K on. I started from the bottom. Now I'm about to come all the way back up to the top, baby. Let's roll.
And with that, let's get to another quick slant. This time, let's dissect the Seahawks and the Browns. Seattle is coming off a big division win against the Rams, while the Browns can't seem to find their sea legs after getting pummeled in Santa Clara on Monday night. So Matt and Liz will stay with you. Do the Browns have a shot at saving their season today?
I mean, we're laughing about it. Are we laughing at how bad the Browns have been so far?
We are laughing about this heat about OBJ. That is what we're laughing about because nobody wanted OBJ and Baker Mayfield to cruise into the season more than the public, right? And it just hasn't happened yet. He's had one big game. So, Matt, I have to ask you, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Is this the week that OBJ gets going?
I think so, and I think it's because of the matchup that you brought up earlier. Those Seahawks corners are not good. And I think that we've seen when offenses want to air the ball out and they want to go through the passing game, they can do it on Seattle. Especially, look, the Seahawks pass rush has been hit or miss so far. Jadeveon Clowney's had some big games. But he's also had some games where it just hasn't been much of an impact so far. And I think that's what the Browns really need. The thing I'm most worried about is Baker Mayfield developed a lot of bad habits under pressure. And I think, even if there's no pressure, he's starting to feel it. So that is problematic, but I think you play Beckham confident.
I mean, I think the objective here has to get OBJ going. And also, Trey Flowers let Dante Moncrief catch 2 of 5 balls.
That's like letting any other receiver catch like 10.
So what about the backfield in Seattle? I'm only mentioning it because obviously Chris Carson is an every week start. He's been amazing, but Rashad Penny is out with this hamstring injury.
CJ Prosise season's part 55. No, other than to make Zach Schwartz smile, there's really no reason to ever mention CJ Prosise. So we just gave Schwartz another reason to keep living, but that's about all that we've done here.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, other than that, no. Don't be messed
Back to you, Amanda.
Time for another quick break. Coming up, we'll explain why things might be getting worse for the Steelers. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Here's your garbage time, Behrens.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Live. A quick score update in London for you. The Bucks are coming back, guys.
Garbage time,
Jameis
Winston!
just racking up two-point conversions.
That's right.
Nobody two-point converts better than Jameis. I've always said it.
They're still losing, by the way. It's 37-26 with 4 minutes, 47 seconds remaining. So don't get your hopes up, Bucks fans. There's that. All right, let's get to some more of your roster questions. Matt and Liz have it under control for us in LA. So who are we helping now, guys?
Yeah, if there's one
job, Amanda.
if there's one thing we have, it is definitely under control. So let's jump right into this question. Let's be very professional here. Shannon wants to know whether she should start an injured George Kittle or Jared Cook at the tight end position, Liz. You brought this up on the podcast.
I mean, this is an interesting conundrum, Shannon.
Quite a perplexing query you've sent us. Now, look, the answer is never Jared Cook. Okay, let's be real. Let's cut the professional stuff. Let's be serious. Jared Cook, no, total dust ball in this offense.
Do you want to tell him the brilliant thing I brought up on the podcast, though?
The brilliant thing that you brought up on the podcast, Liz, was about George Kittle, who's one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. Obviously, there's been some injuries. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk, Booger McFarland's MVP of the entire NFL, and Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. So, are you?
So I do think that the benefit, if there is one, of Kittle being a little banged up is that he probably won't be used to block because they want to preserve him for the receiving portion of the game. And so I think that gives Kittle, weirdly, even more upside in this one. I don't think he's a top 3 start, but I do think he's like a top 6 start.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, now let's jump into the chat where we have a lot of great questions. 2 of my favorite emojis, the silhouette shouter and the siren. And this one, I know you're going to like this question, Liz, because it's should you start Joe Mixon, your boy Carlos Hyde, or your boy Jordan Howard?
Man, I got so many boys.
Got a lot of boys running around in this question.
Joe Mixon, Carlos Hyde, or Jordan Howard?
Jordan Howard.
All right,
I think the answer is Joe Mixon.
I think the answer is Joe Mixon. I was just going to say, you probably want to start Joe Mixon. I understand why you would be tempted by Carlos Hyde's floor, but it's not enough for me to sit Mixon.
Yeah, well, this is tough. You just threw two of your boys right under the bus here. You hate to see it. A lot of Jordan Howard questions today.
However, did that happen?
How about this one? This one's got a shamrock emoji, the hand raise emoji, very polite of you, the hearts, the whole thing. Brandon Cooks, DJ Chark, or Will Fuller, pick two. This is a tough one. I think
between Fuller and Chark here.
See, I think I'm actually going to sit Brandon Cooks of these three.
Yeah.
So
you only have you get to start two.
Yeah, you get to start two.
So it was to me between.
Okay.
If you were going to start one, Chark or Fuller, yes, I'm sitting Cooks.
Yeah, which is crazy because Cooks is obviously, he's the draft capital guy. It's all there. But the opportunity between all these players has been about the same. So I think you sit the one that's in the toughest matchup here. We will take another George Kittle question. We're helping a lady out here. We've got the lipstick emoji and the silhouette shouter. Love to see it.
Oh my God, two of my favorite things: screaming and putting your lipstick on. Absolutely.
Who doesn't love that? George Kittle or Mark Andrews? I think we're going with your boy Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I am going with Mark Andrews in this one, especially with no Hollywood Brown. Mark Andrews has been a beast. He's the foot, the shoulder, nothing stopped him. He is hurtling over all the defenders and catching all the balls. He is a top 3 start this week.
We are in total agreement there, Liz and I. Liz and I will be spending all day together. We'll be doing the 2 halftime shows during the early game halftime, the late game halftime. So make sure you tune in, check us out then. Bring your questions, bring your heat in the chat. We will acknowledge you all day and give you all the
professionalism.
With our professionalism, all the validation that you could possibly be after.
Thank you, guys. The Steelers and the Chargers face off tonight. 2 teams that have both had rough starts to the season. Now we'll stick with Pittsburgh. Let's go over or under on wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju has gone over the 70-yard mark in 4 of their 5 games this year. So can he make it 5 of 6 and go over 69.5 yards in this one? Andy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, you mentioned it. He's done it in 4 of 5 games, and yet we're down to our 3rd Steelers quarterback of the season. Hodges, he looked plucky last week. That's about all I'll give him. He's facing a defense that ranks number 8 against the pass. They only allow 215 passing yards per week. I don't think it happens here. I think if you're starting Juju, you're just hoping that you get Pittsburgh's 1 offensive touchdown. No, I'm going to say under.
Brad?
I am congruent with Andy Behrens' perspective here. I know where Harmon's going to go with this. Juju's lining up in the slot 64.8% of the time. He's going to see a lot of Desmond King, who's given up an impeccable passer into his assignments, yada, yada, yada. But Hodges is such a wild card. We just don't know if he is going to operate seamlessly within this scheme. L.A. coming off a clunker of a game against the arch-rival Denver Broncos. They're at home under the primetime lights. They dominate this game from start to finish and shut down Juju. Under.
Matt?
I mean, Brad just like yada yada'd over all my points, which is really cool, but I am going to go over here. And I never thought that I'd be defending Juju, but I think what you're looking at here is a guy who's clear target leader in this offense. Duck Hodges, he's going to try to get the ball out quick against, Joey Bosa and the guys there, even though this is a good offensive line protecting him. But Juju doesn't need to get a ton of downfield looks. We've seen him pile up a lot of yards after the catch. I think he can just get to 70 yards. That's not much of an ask. Give me a break. I'm going to go over. And yes, Brad had a lot of good points there that he yada yada'd over that I would have made on my own. Thank you.
Now, we know LA and Pittsburgh fans care about that game, but there are some things that Matt and Liz simply don't care about as it pertains to tonight's contest between the Chargers and the Steelers. Care to explain this one, guys?
Yeah, quite frankly, I don't care about 2 players here that everyone cared about, back in like July or whatever. James Conner and Melvin Gordon. Honestly, neither of these guys I think is a great play this week. James Conner especially has been super underwhelming. I mean, give me a break. Hasn't even hit 60 yards rushing yet. Has just 1 good game as a receiver. Has there been, I know he's scored some touchdowns, but has there been a more underwhelming player than James Conner so far? It just goes to show you.
Ronald Jones.
Well, yeah, but I'm not like real players that people actually care about.
So I'm hearing you say you don't care about Melvin Gordon. You don't care about I can't even remember his name. He's so underwhelming.
James Conner.
Thank
Speaking
you.
of the Terminator theme here.
The outside big X receivers, I don't care about them. Mike Williams must have gotten some Reiki on his back and gone to the stage goddess because he had a load of targets last week, so good for him. Deontay Johnson, that was a cool thing, but he's going to see Casey Hayward. I know where you're going with this, Matt. Like, I feel like we have a mind meld, like maybe a Rodgers to Jordy Nelson. I'm obviously Nelson. Back shoulder situation because you're setting up this to be a Benny Snell game, right? No Jalen Samuels. That's where you're going with this. I can't wait to hear it.
No.
That's absolutely where you're going with it.
No,
Y'all
no.
look for Benny Snell. He's available in just 2%. He's owned in just 2% of Yahoo leagues, as it should be. But I think it's going to be interesting without Samuel there and James Conner absolutely underwhelming and also not 100% to see, don't start him, but maybe see what Snell does. This is a rookie that the team was very high on heading into the season and throughout the draft process.
Yeah, I definitely don't care about Benny Snell.
No, you care about Benny Snell. Don't undersell it. You've been talking to me about Snell the whole dang time.
And I can confirm that none of that is true. So, great segment. Wonderful. Don't care about that. Don't care about James Conner.
Snell you later.
Oh,
Please
man.
take this away.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's do another round of Make Your Pick. Andy and Tank are working feverishly to figure out your problems for you. So, guys, I'll let you take it away.
W-E-R-K working
Yeah.
feverishly.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it.
Feverishly. Martin needs one for a flex spot. It's a full PPR league, and he's giving up a couple guys who don't get huge bumps in PPR, right? Marvin Jones, not some PPR star. He's not really seeing more than 6-7 targets in any given week. It's close for me with Sutton. I can imagine him finding the end zone, but I gotta go Malcolm Brown.
I'm about to say, you just like hearing yourself talk because this is easy for me.
Yeah, we've got a full workload running back in that question, absolutely. It's Malcolm Brown. Brent, oh, look at all these players.
Wow.
5 guys, he needs 2. Half PPR, Woods, Hill, he's playing. For me, Tyreek Hill is going to play.
If he's playing against that Texans secondary, you got to plug him.
Yeah, there's going to be 60 points in that game. I'm going with him. So it's Damian Williams, Eckler, or Boyd.
Ooh, I can't pass up the volume of Boyd in the PPR.
Yeah, you've talked about it before. It's probably going to be like 14 targets.
Yeah, and it's probably more of a Melvin than the Eckler game this week. So.
I agree. Boyd as well.
All right. Thank you very much,
that was easy.
guys. That was very easy. It's short and sweet. We love that.
It is.
One last break for us, but coming up, we'll get to even more of your roster questions. So stay with us.
Come on, Jameis.
And there's some serious Jameis garbage time going on right now.
Boy.
I need another 2.
Mike Evans just dropped a massive game.
Welcome back to FFL. We are keeping a look at the score of the Panthers-Bucks game in London. About 2 minutes left. The Panthers should win this one 37-26.
5 turnovers for
Jameis Winston.
Man, he sucks.
Let's try to focus on those two-point conversions.
Just got to mask all the mistakes.
We want to stay positive around here. All right, we do have our last quick slant of the day. Today we have the pleasure of watching two teams who have thoroughly excelled at being terrible this season. Now, to be fair, we're talking about the Redskins and the Dolphins, and to be fair, they both have bright spots on their teams. So let's talk about this one, guys. I'm trying to be positive here.
It's a struggle to come up with superlatives, but I think this game, to use one of Tank's favorite terms, has sneaky shootout appeal because both of these teams are like Jell-O molds when it comes to playing defense, man. They are flimsy, they are weak, they're easily penetrated, and I think Adrian Peterson, Behrens, is a guy, as you mentioned earlier in the program, Bill Callahan goes, hey, let's turn back the clock, let's break out the leather helmets. I mean, is he a top 20 running back?
Yeah, I fully believe that Callahan is going to do this. I think we're going to see something like 35 rush attempts in this one. I don't know how many Peterson gets. It's going to be at least 25, though. I don't know that even leads to a huge yardage total, but Miami gives up 176 rushing yards per week. 176, almost 5 yards per carry. There's no way Peterson screws up this one.
We could have you line up at pulling guard and Peterson and still get 2.
Yeah, I think it's a definite possibility going up against this defense. I love Terry McLaurin, too. Yeah. You look at the matchup against the Miami secondary, people are like, oh, Xavier Howard's there. He's given him a 140-plus passer rate in his assignments, collectively 10.3 yards per attempt. The Filet-O-Fish have allowed. So what about Kenyon Drake? Would you entertain him at all going up against this Washington front, giving up right around 4.5 yards per carry to RB?
No, I wouldn't entertain Kenyon Drake, but a little bit of my cousin Preston Williams, Parker, some of that action on the Washington secondary. Yeah, I'm all about that.
You accept Preston as a cousin, sure.
Oh, absolutely. But PJ, nah, Doc.
There you go.
All right, awesome. Well, we know you have some questions for Matt and Liz, and they're always here to help us figure everything out. So let's check in with them and see what's going on. Hey, guys.
Well, so much is going on. We ask you to send in your emojis, and some of you really, ding. All right, okay, cool. Anyways, so many times you guys really crush it. This one, Joel from Facebook, really crushed it. We've got a ghost, we've got a ring, we've got some apples, a strawberry, some burgers.
Burgers! I saw the burgers, and I was like, Matt, that one. He was like, did you even read the question? No, don't care. I want the burgers.
Now, but the actual question is, Phillip Lindsay, Cortland Sutton, or Chris Thompson in the flex spot. I'm going Chris. No, excuse me.
No, you're going Cortland Sutton.
I'm going Cortland Sutton here. Yeah, give me a break. Don't mess around with that Washington backfield if you don't have to. You don't have to here because Cortland Sutton has been pretty amazing this season. I didn't see this breakout coming, but I think in this spot against some Titans corners that he has a clear size advantage over. Sure. I really like Cortland Sutton this week.
And Joe Flacco has been locked in on him throughout the season. And you know when Joe makes a choice, he sticks with it.
He sticks with it, no doubt about that. How about this one as my earpiece falls out? Taylor says, hey, football question kings. I guess or kings or queens,
I've
crown,
been
whatever.
A queen since I was born, but cool. That's fine.
There we go. Pick 2. Mark Andrews, Phillip Lindsay again, or David Johnson. I think you got to go David Johnson in this spot.
Here. I mean, when you said Mark Andrews, I was like, I'm going to stay there. And then we said David Johnson for the end. And I still think DJ's the answer. Again, I'm not very worried about the back here.
How about this one? And I'm only doing it not just because of the shrug emojis, which I do like, but Mike Williams or Jarvis Landry. They spelled Laundry instead of Landry. I think I'm going to go with Jarvis Landry here in the spot. As I mentioned, I don't like Mike Williams.
I think I would actually go with Mike Williams here because as much as I don't like the matchup, I do like Mike Williams' ability to win 50-50 balls, and I think that the touchdown advantage is with Williams, so that's why I would lean his direction.
Now another Chris Thompson. It's the last one we're going to do today with just some frowning emojis, and I guess if you have to ask, am I starting Chris Thompson? You should be wearing a frown today. Tevin Coleman or Chris Thompson? I am going to go with Tevin Coleman in this spot. As I mentioned, I really still like the 49ers rushing game because of that scheme in LA.
Listen, if Brad Evans has coined arthritic knee, then Matt Harmon certainly gets to keep schematic genius.
Well, it is my San Francisco 49ers, of which I am a lifelong fan. We're undefeated. Remember that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that.
All day.
Catch us at the halftime.
Yeah, we're doing halftime shows. Cool.
All right, thank you guys. Before we run out of time, let's hit up the phone lines for some questions. First up, we have Adam in Toronto. Good morning. What's your question?
Morning, guys. I got 2 quick questions for you. In a standard league, I got either Scary Terry or Juju, and then in a flex, I either need Hyde, Philip Lindsay, or Matt Breida.
Hyde, Lindsay, or Breida. For me, it's Philip Lindsay on that last one, but those are all excellent choices. I think Lindsay's going to find the end zone at least once today. You can run on Tennessee. We mentioned earlier in the show, 4.5 yards per carry allowed, though he's working in lockstep with Royce Freeman. And I'm going McLaurin.
I'm going McLaurin as well, yeah.
Absolutely over Juju.
I would go McLaurin, but I would go Breida.
Gotta hope he hits a home run. That's the only downside with Breida.
Next up, we have Sugar in Chicago.
Whoa.
Good morning. What's your question?
So I traded Emmanuel Sanders for Kevin Coleman, and then now I have Kevin Coleman and Matt Breida at flex. It's a PPR league. What should I do?
Well, that does kind of tilt the scales to Breida's side, but again, Coleman's the primary red zone guy, Behrens.
I'm gonna go Breida here. I like his chances of getting a handful of receptions in this one. Again, he's just been a brilliant runner too. You say that you're kind of banking on the home run with him, but the home run just keeps coming, right?
He looked
really
great
good
on Monday, man. Just dynamite. I'm going Coleman just because of the red zone love that he normally gets, and I think they're going to be living inside that part of the field for much of the game today. Tank?
Remember what I said last time because I said it. Breida.
All right. 2-1.
All right, up next we have Josh in North Dakota. Good morning. What's your question?
Good morning.
Oh.
Okay, so I have Wood.
That voice was just sultry. My bad. You threw me off, dog.
Okay, I have Wood, Sutton, Hill starting, Freeman, and Gordon. My question is a flex. I have Mixon or, Mohamed Sanu. Who do I start in flex?
All right. Do we get crazy with the cheese whiz here, boys?
Maybe we do.
I go Sanu. I'm sticking to my guns
Is
here.
that crazy?
It's not?
I thought if you were going crazy, you were going to say Mixon.
No, okay, good. Then we're all in agreement.
It's anybody but Mixon.
We're all in straight jackets together.
Yeah, it seems a little weird to say, but I am going to go Sanu here. He's been getting a ton of targets. Again, both defenses are absolutely trash in that game.
And Mixon has like some bomb matchups, and he's like failed them all.
Well, I mean, that offensive line is arguably one of the worst in the league. They are ghost-like up front. So it's a sweep. I can't believe we're all going Mohamed Sanu.
All right. Well, as always, we're going to close out the show with what we missed or what we're most looking forward to today. So Matt and Liz, we'll start with you guys.
Liz, final thoughts on what should be just a wonderful weekend? I'm actually really more looking forward to the Monday Night Football game. I've been noticing, obviously, that Aaron Rodgers is he's just part of the equation now. He's no longer the engine for the Packers right now. And I think that actually makes them a better team. And the Lions, I decided it's time to put some respect on their name going into their bye. I want to see how they respond, too, in this one.
Also, Mike Daniels is out for the Lions, so that should give Aaron Jones even more of a zhuzh here. Jamal Williams cleared from the concussion protocol.
A revenge
so he
game.
could definitely vulture a touchdown on Monday night. I'm actually not so much for fantasy implications this week, but looking forward, Sam Darnold is back. He's been cleared from that City Boy summer fun that he had. No more mono, spleen's okay. I want to see what having him under center doesn't necessarily mean for Darnold as a fantasy prospect, but means for the rest of this offense. Are we finally going to be rid of this Jamison Crowder nonsense? Will Le'Veon Bell, who heading into week 6 is the Yahoo consensus RB12 on the week, find more room to run? What happens to Robbie Anderson? There are a lot of things against Dallas here that I'm looking to see what Sam Darnold can do.
All right. Well, I know we talked about this a little bit earlier with the Texans facing the Chiefs. I feel like we didn't spend that much time talking about Tyreek Hill. A lot of eyes are going to be on him today.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, seeing how much he's going to play, in terms of snap count overall. And I'm going to stick with the theme of a marquee wide receiver. If Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield cannot get right at home against Seattle today, you have to really start. I mean, Baker is already cut-worthy, but OBJ, you have to start contemplating whether or not he is must-start material every single week. This is why always start your studs is the most moronic ideology in fantasy land.
You think so?
I do. And Shaq Griffin's been legit good, 0.65 yards per snap allowed. So that's it.
What else did we miss?
Well, I'm with Liz. I think Sam Darnold's return is super interesting. I want to know what that offense looks like. I want to know if Jamison Crowder sees another 17 targets like he did with Darnold in week 1. That would really help me out.
Actually, I'm on the same game. The Cowboys are going to be down 2 tackles, Collins and Tyron Smith. And if Lev Bell can get going in that run game, then this could be quite an upset. And I'm also looking forward to the chorizo burrito I'm about to have in about 4
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, well, before we say goodbye, one quick update on this game in London. The game is about to end, 46 seconds left. 37-26. The Carolina Panthers will take this one. Did you get enough garbage time?
Jameis.
No, we got 46 seconds left. Time for one more pick.
Yeah, he hasn't thrown an interception in
Maybe even
7 minutes.
All right, well, that'll do it for Fantasy Football Live this morning. Remember, we're live every Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, right here on Yahoo Sports. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck in those fantasy matchups.
Go out there and make that money.
This man's going to have 400 yards today. Oh, my God. This is going to be the worst.